would like to call the Peoria Public Schools Board of Education meeting for January 25th, 2021 to order. Would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Costick? Mr. Claus?
Here.
Dr. Rankin?
Here.
Mr. Walther?
Here.
Mr. Wilson?
Here.
Mrs. Ross?
Here.
President Shaw?
Here.
We have 6 present, 1 absent.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Vice President Wilson, would you like to start the announcements?
Yes, thank you, President Shaw. Give me 1 second. The Bradley University / DAPSET STEM program, a free STEM education program for 5th and 8th grade students, is back. The DAPSET STEM program helps 5th and 8th grade students engage in STEM-related fields. All classes will last approximately 2 hours. Students can choose courses in algebra, chemistry, 3 different coding classes, and EPIC, an electrical engineering course. For more information, check with your student's principal or go to peoriapublicschools.org.
Dr. Rankin?
Vision and hearing screenings. The school years are an important learning time in a child's life, a time when they are introduced to the world around them and acquire vital social skills. If a child's vision or hearing is impaired, development in both of these areas can be inhibited. It is important for all children to have vision and hearing screenings. The state of Illinois requires that vision and hearing screenings be conducted in each school building by certified technicians. Vision screening is not a substitute for a complete eye and vision evaluation by an optometrist or ophthalmologist. Students who have proof of examination from an optometrist or ophthalmologist in the previous 12 months are not required to have vision screenings at school.
Mr. Klaus?
Peoria Promise. Peoria Promise application window is open February 1st. Peoria Promise provides 50 to 100% tuition reimbursement to ICC. Applicants must have lived in Peoria for at least 4 years, must graduate from high school, and have completed the FAFSA. Application deadline is May 1st. Go to www.peoriapromise.org for more information.
Mr. Walther?
Yeah, I have the D2 info meetings. Manual High School, Peoria High School, and Richwoods High School will host information meetings for parents of sophomores on the D² program the week of February 1st through the 5th. D², or Degree Diploma Program, is offered by Peoria Public Schools and Illinois Central College. The 2-year program for high school juniors and seniors enables students to complete their high school degree and an Associates of Arts or Associates of Science degree simultaneously. To find out more, attend a parent conference. February 2nd, Manual High School, 5 to 6 p.m., Peoria High School, 6:30 to 7:30 p.m., February 3rd, Richwoods High School Auditorium, 5:30 to 6:30. February 4th, the Administration Building, 5:30 to 6:30 in PLC 1. And February 10th, 5:30 to 6:30 via Zoom. Details to be announced. Students who are interested must go through the ICC PPS acceptance process. The process will require the AccuPlacer assessment test in reading and math, and students must apply to ICC first before taking that test. This is a wonderful program that Peoria Public School offers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walther. Mrs. Ross?
Yes, I have an announcement. Peoria Public Schools has a limited number of school desks available to loan to families. Desks are available for primary and middle and high school students. Please contact Lana at 309-672-6744 for more information.
Thank you, Mrs. Ross. And I have PSA auditions. The Preparatory School for the Arts at Peoria High School will be hosting a second round of virtual auditions for 8th grade students during the first week of February.
Students interested in pursuing focused study in band, choir, orchestra, dance, drama, or visual arts are welcome to audition. PSA is open to students throughout the district. The PSA at Peoria High School offers an educational environment using multiple approaches to learning and creativity. PSA faculty are passionate about the arts and dedicated to excellence. Their focus is student learning, growth, and performance. Students who auditioned in November do not need to audition a second time. To sign up for auditions, speak to your child's middle school counselor or email Maura.Shepherd, that is maura.sheppherd at psd150.org. Thank you. Okay, moving on to awards and recognition.
I do have an announcement, President Chair. Yeah.
Sorry, Dr. Correct. Oh, one second, Dr. Correct. I did want to mention the bulletin boards, Jameson on my right and Lincoln on my left. I did want to acknowledge those, and thank you. And Dr. Correct.
Yep, thank you. And we will not be recognizing Dr. Rossi. We're going to postpone it because of the weather.
Okay.
Speaking of weather, inclement weather, with Peoria Public Schools back to in-person instruction, and with ice and snow potentially in the forecast today and beyond during the rest of the winter, please tune in for any updates or announcements from Peoria Public Schools. If inclement weather is causing dangerous conditions for students and families and staff to get to and from school, we will announce a remote learning day. All students, regardless of whether it's an A day or B day, will take part in this remote learning day via MS Teams, Acellus, or Edgenuity. The format will follow the current schedule for all K-12 students, including Woodruff and Knoxville. Again, every student will log on for the remote learning day if the announcement is made. So students and families need to be prepared to continue to learn from home, and which will include making sure they have streams and laptops available for home use. And then teachers will work from home in case of a remote learning day due to the weather, and all other staff, please follow instructions from your supervisor. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Karat. Tonight we have two district presentations. First, we have an update on balanced calendar from Dr. Sandra Wilson.
Good evening, Dr. Karat, President Shaw, and the Board of Education. I just have a quick update since the last time I was up here. As part of the December 14th Balanced Calendar presentation, I shared a timeline of the work that would be completed from December to April, which will meet the superintendent's charge. And as a reminder, her charge was that the Balanced Calendar Committee will revisit the feasibility of providing a balanced calendar schedule starting with the 2021-22 school year to address COVID-19 learning loss and to accelerate learning. So with that being said, since December to date, we have done a few things. So the first thing you'll notice on our website, we have a specific tab at the top with that red border, and it is labeled Balanced Calendar, and we're going to keep all information on there as things are updated. So if you click on that, you will see the PowerPoint that was shared at the Board of Education meeting, as well as a link to the December 14th live presentation via YouTube. We also have been very busy gathering feedback. We have gathered over 100 hurdles, barriers, concerns from a variety of stakeholders, just thinking about what are some considerations we want you to work through. We've sorted those into the subcommittee categories that align. And again, the subcommittees are athletics, extracurricular, finance, building and grounds, community activities, family life, childcare, that's all one, students and achievement, and staffing. So each one of those subcommittees have been assigned the barriers that align to their focused area, and they are going to work through those brainstorming, solution-focused feedback to work through all of the considerations that folks have brought to us. The subcommittees, it's a total of 63 participants. They're also included in that are 26 impact committee members and 8 core members. So 97 different people from a wide variety of stakeholders are meeting weekly in January and February to go through these. And again, as a reminder, the stakeholders are building administration, special ed coordinators, we have teachers, parents, students, community representatives, Board of Education members, curriculum coordinators, members of the Peoria Public School Foundation, the ROE, HR District Administration, Peoria Public Library, Parks and Rec, and so on and so forth. So many, a variety of the community agencies are also included. So we will be working through that to constantly sift through January and February. So all the subcommittees have had at least one meeting last week, and we will continue to meet once or twice a week, January and February. We're going to use the feedback gathered in those subcommittees to come up with a proposal for you. So what's up next? Between now and February 22nd, when I will be back here with my partner, Josh Collins, the week of February 1st through the 5th, which is next week, we are going to send out a survey to families and a separate one to staff, and that is to gather initial feelings about the balanced calendar concept. So that will be a more general survey about your thoughts. We're also going to present at the PTO Council meeting in February, and then we hope to gather all of that feedback and provide a draft balanced calendar proposal to the Board of Education next time we're up here, which is February 22nd. So again, just as a reminder that we're looking at a transition year for 2021-22 school year, because we cannot start until August 5th due to the HVAC and making sure that all of our buildings are air conditioned. So our goal is to look at implementation of a balanced calendar in the 2022-23 school year. So that's where we are at the moment, but I'll be back in a few weeks. Any questions?
Questions from board members? Seeing or hearing none? Seeing none, thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, we have a presentation on K-8 virtual learning by Barb Closen, and I hope I pronounced your name right. Thank you.
Dr. Karat, President Shaw, Board of Education. Tonight, I am excited to share with you the journey to date of Virtual Learning at Home 2.0. Through data, and more importantly, through the words of individuals who are on this journey currently. So let's begin with the journey through several teachers' perspectives with Carrie Forbes and Katie Welch.
Good evening, board members. My name is Carrie Forbes, and I have been teaching 6th grade in Peoria Public Schools for 30 years. So apparently I am a veteran. We all know that building relationships with our students ensures their success. Using the Acellus program this year has allowed me to do that by meeting with them individually or in small groups on a regular basis. I've seen really great progress in their academic achievement as well as their maturity levels from those meetings. And I really appreciate the fact that the parents of my students are expected to be committed to meet with me weekly for check-ins. The parents as well as the students receive immediate feedback and data from the Acellus program. And I've been able to help them see the relationship between hard work and success.
Hi, my name is Katie Welch, and I am an 8th grade virtual teacher with Acellus this year. Acellus is a flexible program that allows our students to learn from anywhere at any time. Not all students learn the same way. Acellus allows me to meet my students' individual needs in a way that allows them to be successful and take ownership of their own learning experience. Acellus is not a click, 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 done program. In Acellus, our students log in, they begin their learning, and when they get stuck, they send a message. In Teams, they send a text message, they make a phone call, send an email, and we have that one-on-one meeting. I'm able to dive in one-on-one with that student, find out where their misconceptions are, and help them. Through that one-on-one instruction, they begin to have that positive growth mindset. They begin to have more self-confidence, and that allows them to be more successful. Throughout those text messages, phone calls, emails, home visits that we do every week, it builds that personal relationship with the student. Students that would not necessarily be successful in a traditional in-person environment are given an option for another way to learn that they are successful. They're not the same distractions that they would have in a regular classroom. Through this program, students have more choice and control, and that allows them to be more successful.
This next slide may be a bit overwhelming when you look at all the names. This represents the VTL team. But what's truly overwhelming is that this VTL team, not really knowing each other in August, came together, and by early September, we were working together. I don't think the relationships formed will ever end. Next, let me introduce to you Crystal Monest and Gail Llewellyn as they share their thoughts.
Hi, I'm Miss Monest. I teach second grade with the Virtual Academy, and I've enjoyed getting to know students and families from various schools across the district. So that's one of the benefits that I think our students have been able to have as well with this platform. I have students that have met each other through class meetings and developed friendships that they otherwise would not have been able to form. I also think the biggest benefit to this platform has been the flexibility that it gives our parents and our students to continue their education during this pandemic. And the last thing that I want to comment on is a lot of my parents and students enjoy some of the additional courses that Acellus offers that a student may not see or receive in a regular education setting. For example, there's some STEM courses for second graders on there that my students have really enjoyed. They've been able to take introduction to coding and elementary engineering, and the parents and the students have all commented on how they enjoy those courses and being able to learn something new and different through the program. So it's been fun so far, and I look forward to enjoying the second semester as much.
Hello, my name is Gail Llewellyn, and I am teaching the Acellus program to fourth grade students this school year. I have students from 3 different elementary schools. Those students have the opportunity to come together in class meetings for collaboration and clarification of topics that may need addressed from another standpoint from a classroom teacher. The students enjoy the opportunity to be able to work at their own pace and also know that they have the support not only of the classroom teacher in Acellus, but the support of the District 150 teacher, as well as the support of their parents. The family support has been a huge asset to this program this year. It certainly takes a village to teach children, and I have to say that this year, these parents have worked extra hard and put in a lot of extra time helping their students to succeed. Acellus allows them to help their students in the evenings. It allows their parents to meet with myself and their student for clarifications on content material as well. There are many extra classes that are available, such as STEM, elementary engineering, and Spanish. Students have done several extra projects and enjoyed them all.
So, as promised, we have data and we have stories being shared. So on this next slide would be the data. We're still kind of fluctuating on students returning to hybrid learning on the 19th, but this weekend, we were just a little over 1,500 students. And this just represents how many grade level sections we have or teachers we have, as well as the class size. We support we support self-contained classrooms. We have 2 teachers supporting that, as well as we have the best team of special education teachers working with our gen ed teachers. So very proud of the work they're doing, along with 2 TAs. Similar to the virtual learning at home, we have recorded lessons and messages, but we also have live interaction. So right now, it's my privilege to introduce Laura Bali, and she's going to talk a little bit about her connections with families and students.
Good evening. My name is Laura Bali, and I teach with the 7th grade Acellus program. This year, I found that there are 3 elements necessary for success with my students this year: grace, relationships, and high expectations. It did not take much time for my families and I to realize that it took a team, the families, the students, and I, for students to truly be successful within this program. This summer, I started knowing that I would teach my 7th graders in a way that ensured that they knew that I cared about them. That was the #1 priority. And because I cared about them, I created high expectations for them. For example, in math, I ask for additional handwritten work before I unlock each math exam, demonstrating to me that they understand the concept. And I've asked each family that an adult be with the child while they take the exam to just demonstrate the integrity of the students doing their math work. I want my answer when the parents and students ask, why are we doing this? Why this extra step? I say, because I want your students to sit in their math classroom next year and feel confident in front of their peers and teachers. And everyone has cooperated, and the students are doing a great job with that extra step. Relationships have been key when working with 7th grade students. I have a daily meeting where I read a novel aloud, and then we do a 7-minute stretching activity at the end to music. Reading lets us spend time together and develop a shared appreciation for stories. We just finished the Track series by Jason Reynolds. I cried during the last chapter, and tomorrow we're starting Ghost Boys. Their favorites are the stories when I read from the perspective of a 12-year-old middle school student just like them. After we read, I play music and we do the 7-minute stretching activity together, and I stress the importance of our mental health and our academic health. I have talked to them about the challenges of this year and that I'm here to support them, yet also ensure that they are learning. I update parents with various student goals and progress charts on a weekly basis. I send newsletters explaining my expectations, but also letting families know that I truly care. I had a student who struggled last year, very much so, tell me this year that I make him want to learn. As an educator, there are really no sweeter words to hear. I have parents thank me for my patience. I had a mother tell me, you've made a world of difference with my son. You have helped give him confidence and have encouraged him along the way, which means so much to us. Because this is a flexible learning platform, we all have grace with each other. The parents have grace with me and I with them. We are a unit. They either have my Google Voice or my cell phone number. They text me on the weekends, and they know that if I don't answer right away, it's because I'm dedicating time to my family. Not only do I have 28 students in my class, I have a team of 28 families doing their best. And I accept what their best is at the time and offer grace and support. When talking to parents, grandmothers, aunts, uncles, older brothers, and other family members on the phone, I have said a lot of these phrases. I get that, I understand, and one day at a time. Grace, relationships, and high expectations. That's how my 7th grade class does Acellus. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Early on, we kind of coined the tagline, "We're more than just clicks," and I think you can see that that truly is the case. Rachel Sides is also wanting to share with us what she does during class meetings. So if Rachel is online.
I am. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry I couldn't be there, but I'm here to share my experience on how I get my students engaged off the Acellus platform. And to give them the best sense of normalcy in this strange year, we have a daily morning meeting, and they last from 30 to 45 minutes, just depending on the day. To get them excited to join and participate, I've structured these meetings around different themes. So on Monday, we have Mystery Monday, where we tie in other learning platforms like Discovery Ed and Mystery Science. Theme Day Tuesday is the children's choice, and there's usually some sort of dress-up day. We love to read Wednesday, where I read a story and we respond to that reading in our writing. Think It Through Thursday with a focus on math problem solving. And on Fun Friday, we focus on the arts with art and music. In addition to this morning time, each of my students has an opportunity to meet with me for 30 minutes to 60 minutes a week, depending on their needs. We focus on things like guided reading, where I meet each child at their level, and we then focus on skills and strategies needed to move them up. If the child needs more focus in math, this is what we use that time for, and it's truly tailored to see what each child needs, either from my Acellus observations or from my discussions with the families. And early on, I also realized we were going to need to focus on writing. So we have a writer's workshop for 3 to 4 days out of the week, about 30 minutes each time. And I try to run this similar to the model I would use if I was face-to-face with my students. I teach a mini lesson with a focus on a specific skill or strategy. And we then spend time writing independently. While the children write independently, I call them into conference with them one-on-one and just check in with them individually. They show me, they send me pictures, they email me things that they're working on and things that they're writing. And last, we come back together as a group and they have an opportunity to read and share their writing, as well as we all offer feedback on what each student can do to add to and make their writing even better. Giving the students the opportunity to meet as much as possible virtually and see their classmates and to see a teacher has made this year as normal as possible. And on days I struggle to know if I'm giving them enough, I think about the day when we were signing off from one of our meetings and one of my boys said to the other boy, "See you later, best friend. I didn't think I could make friends over the computer, and I found you." Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rachel. Please remember, we are over 80 teachers strong, and at one point we were almost to 1,800 students. So we have 2 more teachers that want to share, and then we'll get into what the students have to say. So in this, Natalie Claire and Lauren Wolf will be sharing.
Good evening, board members, directors, and all Peoria Public Schools staff, students, and families. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you this evening. As we all know, this academic year has been an adjustment for all of us, especially our students and their families. My name is Natalie Claire, and I teach 2nd grade. This is my 15th year as an educator in the district, and I'm proud to call Peoria Public Schools my family. I've always said without the dedication, support, and the incredibly diverse team we have, that we stand above the rest. This year, I've had the privilege of teaching the Acellus program, a program allowing students to learn from home on a schedule that works best for them without compromising academic rigor, standards, and quality, fostering a pathway for each child to fully understand their academic potential. As we all know, this pathway of learning happens across the country, allowing a flexible way of learning that did not just begin with the global pandemic. With that said, it is not intended for any student to do this without close monitoring, one-on-one conferencing, daily meetings, interventions, peer interactions, and supplemental support to make this successful. That is where a dedicated, hardworking team of educators has stepped in and created many opportunities to make this possible. We have all spent hours collaborating as a team and involving parents to be an integral part of their child's education. Things such as small groups, daily interventions, morning meetings, online field trips, writers' workshop, home visits, packets of materials delivered to homes, talking to parents daily, and teaching students a solid understanding of problem solving can be attributed to the staff members of Peoria Public Schools. The families love the program, have asked if it will be available next year, and have expressed great gratitude.
Hi, my name is Lauren Wolf, and I'm a 4th grade Acellus teacher. So through Acellus, my students are allowed to work anytime, day or night that fits into their schedule. During my scheduled work hours, though, things look a little different. I use that time to work with my students individually and as a class. I meet with my class 45 minutes to an hour every single day. We read novels together. Sometimes we do Mad Libs to do grammar concepts. Every Friday we do a virtual field trip, and we always try to talk about important things going on in the world. So this week, for instance, we've talked about Martin Luther King Jr. and the inauguration. I also have office hours every single day, a half hour after lunch, and then anywhere from half an hour to an hour at the end of my day, in order for students to pop in and ask questions as needed. That is outside of their individual tutoring time. I have individual tutoring times for every single one of my students for 30 minutes each week. Some students, we work on specific concepts that they're having trouble with, and some students I'm reading a completely different novel with, because that's what they want to do during their half-hour time with me. I work diligently with families in order to help make sure that my students are getting the education they need. I create notes for all of the videos for my students that they need, and I try to help as I can. Thanks. Have a good one.
So as you hear their stories, you can see that there are a lot of supports provided and available to all students. I'm going to go ahead, just because of time, go ahead and transition. And so you've heard what teachers are doing, and you can see up here the supports they are receiving. But I think it'll be interesting now to kind of hear what the students have to say about this journey they are on this year with virtual learning at home.
I like that my parents are here to still help me learn, and I like that I still get to see my teacher online, and I have help.
I think Excellis is great for online learning because it has the right things I need to learn, and the help bar is helpful for when I get stuck at something. It can help me for a test when I get ready for a test on the review. And social studies is kind of hard, but I still made it past the hard stuff that I needed to get past. And I'm happy. My teacher helped me too. Yeah.
I like Excellis because I can work at my own pace. If I need to reduce something or I don't understand it, they let me go back and help me with it. I can go as fast as I want, slow as I want, and I can get on what time I want. I can go on at night, the morning, afternoon. I just do my work whatever time I want, and I like it because I get to do optional classes in my main core class. In our regular class, we just had to do 4 main subjects, and with Excellis, I can do French, German, biology, and other stuff. So those are the reasons I like Excellis. Oh, and I like that it keeps me safe from other people, and I can just stay home.
I like virtual learning because I can work any time of the day, and I can work on my pace.
Why I like Excellis? I like Excellis because it helps me learn while not actually being in school, and that keeps me safe. I also like the fact that they let you do extra things like Spanish and STEM, and that's really fun. Those are the reasons I like Excellis.
So as you can see, a common theme is we call them exploratory electives, and I've mentioned just a few of them here, but for students to be able to have ownership in choosing what courses they would like to add to the 4 core, and just the thought of, I get to do this just to learn, no strings attached. Francine Williamson came to us probably in October, and she's a special education teacher in 5th grade, and she said, I need this resource for my students. And it was a binder. The rest is history. She's going to share with us tonight just a fraction of the value this binder has already given her students.
Hi there, I'm Francine I teach the 5th grade special ed on the virtual learning platform. And actually, Barb, I've been here since the very beginning, since August, but I was kind of moved around a little bit. I wanted to talk to you for a little bit about the binder that I put together. I noticed the first semester that at first the kids were really excited about being on Acellus, but then they started having some difficulties, especially the special ed students who have accommodations in the classroom that Acellus was not really able to give them those accommodations. So I put together this binder over Christmas break and handed them out to each of my kids. You should have a packet, the board members, you should each have a packet with you that has just a little sampling of what the students will see. When they first open the first page, I have a weekly meeting schedule, and it's just for them. It tells them here's study hall times. These are your advisory period, my group times. If they have speech or PT or OT, counseling, their weekly parent meetings, all of that is in their calendar so they can look at it every morning and say, oh, it's Monday, here's what I have going on today. The next 4 pages are a pacing guide for the whole semester. It kind of gives them a beginning and an end, because a lot of the kids just they were like, when does this end? When am I done for the day? You know, my mom keeps telling me to keep going and I don't know when to stop. So I have given them day by day for the whole semester what they need to do in each class. If you look at today, January 25th, they have 2 things to do in ELA, 2 things to do in math, 2 things in science, and 2 things in social studies. And so they can follow along and say, this is all I have to do today. If I want to work ahead, I can. If I'm get a little bit behind, I know exactly what I need to do to get caught up. So that gives them the freedom to kind of work at whatever pace they want to. I have one student who's already done with this week and next week, like in science. I said, okay, so put the science away and then start working on your math because you're a little behind in math. And he can see exactly where he needs to go. The next 4 pages are just a sample of each of the little tabs. I have a tab for each class. In each tab, they have, again, a pacing guide, but it's just for that subject. It's like if you look at like math, it's just the math classes for each day. And on the right side, it tells them what exactly that lesson is for the day. Like today was a drill and lesson 176 to 77, which is the introduction to dividing by tens. So as they're moving along, they can say, oh, I just did the tens, the divide by tens introduction, so I'm done for today. And they know a place where they can stop if they wish to stop. After that, I have that for each, for the whole semester. And then after that, I have notebook paper for them to take notes, and I go through lessons with them and videos with them and say, here is how you take notes. Because that's what the big thing that they learn in 5th grade is how to take notes. And so they're kind of missing that in the classroom. And if I had the chance to do some guided notes, I would add those in there too, in their little tabs. And then at the back of the binder, I had a little packet for each one that had some pencils and a pencil sharpener. And I would love to expand on that and include like sticky notes and highlighters and a little calculator for those kids who have a calculator as an accommodation on their IEP. And the kids have really said that it helps them a lot to stay organized. If one day they're working in their bedroom and the next day they're in the kitchen, they can just take that whole binder with them and everything they need is right there in one place, so they don't have to get up and go looking around for their materials.
Thank you, Francine. And again, we have big plans for the binder, so thank you. Now, for families, supporting families, first and foremost, the whole reason for virtual learning at home 2.0 was the flexibility, allowing families that ability to determine what time and what place their students are learning, and their dedication to meet with their student's teacher. But I think this is part that maybe you don't know, is every student is still enrolled with their homeschool at 5%. That keeps the line of communication open, and we could not do it without keeping that connection to our homeschools. We utilize their administration, all the staff, the counselors, SEL supports. They are truly partners in this. So it's not a separate entity by any stretch of the imaginations. We're just an extension to a lot of schools. Now, Let's listen to what families have to share.
Hello. So, Dorea, what do you love about Acellus?
That I can speak to my teacher, I can work, and I can also when I'm having a problem, my teacher can always help me.
Okay. What is your best subjects in Acellus?
All of that.
Why all of them?
Because I can always get help. Because when I'm having a hard time, my teacher can help me, and also Acellus can help me.
Okay. And what is the best part?
That I can lay down and also listen to whatever my schedule is, and then also be inside my PJs.
Be inside your PJs.
Yeah.
So that's the best part.
Yeah.
I think I like Acellus because I get to know what you're doing and actually see what you're doing and know what you're having issues with. Being that you and your brother both do Acellus, it's a good thing.
My name is Shane Cunningham, and during COVID-19, I could not go to school because of something called plastic bronchitis, which kept me from breathing properly. And because of virtual, I got to learn, and because of my supportive teachers who would give me 1 to 2 personal meetings each week and 1 to 3 meetings with the whole class every day.
What would you say the best part of virtual was for you?
You can work ahead and take breaks. So if you work ahead, you can take a break, and if you, it's basically it.
Take a break, you can catch back up?
Yeah.
When you were having health problems, did that help you?
Yes, because when I wasn't feeling great, I could take a break and then catch back up, or I was already catch back up and I could just take a break without having to catch back up.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Ocean. My teacher name is Miss Clear, and I'm in the 2nd grade. What I like about Acellus, they have a lot of platforms for me to do. If it was in real school, we'll still have to Acellus. And me and my teacher and my roommate, classmates, and we do morning meeting if it was still in real class school.
And what I like about Acellus is that it's a safe school setting. And what I mean about safe school setting is that everything he would do in school, he do it right here at home in the safety and the comfort of our own home. And I don't have to worry about that pandemic that's out and Ocean bringing no COVID home, and I'm giving nothing to him with my underlying condition. I love Acellus, and his teachers are great. They would come in before I even get in the room with him to help him with his work. And Acellus is a great thing to have. I wish everyone would have it.
See you later.
Hi, my name is Talitha McClinton. I have 2 students, a 9th grader and a 4th grader. My 9th grader is in Edgenuity, and my 4th grader is in Acellus. I have some experience with online learning. My terminal degree was completed online. My son completed 2 online classes through New Math. But Amira, she's only 9. So she approached online learning with 2 scoops of trepidation. Mrs. Llewellyn, well, she's just been a godsend. I also want to send a thank you to Mr. Bowlby for making my son's transition from MS Teams to Edgenuity seamless. Thank you.
As you can tell, we have supportive families, we have supportive teachers, we have engaged students. Supporting our staff, it doesn't look a whole lot different than if we were in a brick and mortar building, but these are just some of the things that we do on a regular basis to stay connected. The next part is the data, once again. At the end of the day, the question remains, are students learning, demonstrating achievement? First, it's important to note that students are enrolled in courses at their grade level. Students receive an Acellus grade based on the scores earned on lesson problems, which we consider quizzes, unit exams, your typical tests, and special lessons, looking at it as homework. The grade is calculated with the following weights down in the lower right-hand corner. The Acellus grade is a great data point to take a little closer look at. Students earning a grade of 75% or higher are classified at working in their success zone. And again, that is in a course that is on grade level. So each month, Acellus provides us with some reports that give us an overall average, or an overall score, as well as one for an individual teacher, and then the classes the teacher teaches. And in that report, it looks at what are the average percent of students working in their success zone. That's that 75%, earning a grade of 75% or higher. And I am really excited to say that we are still trending in the mid-90s for students that are doing their Acellus work, taking those quizzes, taking those tests, and keeping a score of 75% or higher on grade level. This last video, I promise it is the last video, but it's a really amazing adventure we're in that you have to hear about it. This last video kind of helps recap why students are being so successful and the power of student support to ensure they are in their success zone. Let me introduce to you Karen Henry.
Hi, my name is Karen Henry, and this year I have been given the opportunity to be a 7th grade Acellus teacher. I've really enjoyed the program. I believe the flexibility that it offers family and students to be able to work when best suits them, maybe the most optimal time for their student is wonderful. A student is able to work at their own pace. Everything is at the student's grade level, and I am able to increase or decrease the rigor of assignments depending on a student's academic ability. So it can become more challenging or bring it down and break it up into a little more pieces and parts for that student to understand the concept. It offers videos and reviews for lessons and tests and allows me to narrow down what my students need as well. I'm fortunate to have students from 7 different schools in the district. I think that's wonderful to make those connections with families. And I just can't say enough about this program, what it has offered students and families, the safety that has offered all of us this year as well, and just the ability to be in a good environment where they're not distracted from others.
So to sum it up, it's about staying connected through active participation and working together. Here I've kind of outlined key roles for each of our players, the student, the teacher, school, family, and how working together provides all these opportunities and flexibility to achieve the very best. And I really do believe that is what's happening. My last slide. This is listed alphabetical order. So I just want you guys to know how much support virtual learning at home 2.0 has had. I can't even begin to imagine this adventure, this journey, without the support, whether it's helping to fold report cards, if it's helping to move the students once again from virtual or hybrid or whatever they might be doing, to being able to pick up the phone to any building and getting that support to know that, yep, we can do this, Barb, for this student, not a problem. And Dr. Wilson, for allowing me to come in every other day, well, now maybe it's every 3 days, and just go, okay, here's what I've got, here's what I need help with, here's what I'm not sure about. The problem solving and the support, be very, very, very proud of your school district, because this is just amazing. Thank you for your attention tonight.
Thank you. Are there any questions from board members on the virtual learning program?
And I'll tell you, Barb, this is her first year with us, and this was a big assignment we gave to her, and she's just, great job, Barb, you and the entire team, the teachers, and I know there were struggles at the very beginning, and you were, it was frustrating, but you stood through it and kept plugging away, and here's the results.
Yes, Vice President
I
Wilson.
would just like to say, Barb, thank you for the presentation. I like seeing the different families and the students and the teachers. So appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Other comments or questions from board members? Anything on the phone? Hearing none, thank you.
Thank you.
And it's our largest school.
We are now ready for presentations by audience. Audience presentations are limited to 5 minutes. We ask that you keep them constructive and positive. And I need the speaker cards. Do we have? We have one speaker, Mr. Terry Knapp.
Good evening. I'd like to thank Mr. Walther for responding to the letter from the committee that I represented, that I gave you twice way back in September, and I received a communication from Mr. Walther today dated the 25th of January, which is 4 months from me approaching the board with comments about going to the public and having the public involved in the renaming of the schools that you are talking about renaming. It's a short paragraph and basically says, thanks but no thanks. We'll go ahead with our agenda. You can do what you want, but we're going to do what we want. And that's the way I interpret it. And I do appreciate Mr. Walter responding when the other 6 board members have not seen fit to respond in any way, shape, or form. I understand it's his committee, but at the same time, the letter was addressed to all of you, and I'm kind of uniquely embarrassed for you that you couldn't answer the letter in a timelier manner than 4 months. I just heard a report on the balanced calendar committees that you're going to have. At least you're not calling it year-round school anymore. Hooray for that. Applaud you for finally realizing that this is not year-round school, that it is a balanced calendar. I called after the meeting where Ms. Wilson presented this, and I called her office, and as I volunteered to be on the committee 2 years ago on this topic and presented 42 pages of pretty much negative information about year-round calendars, I called her office and talked to her secretary and gave her my contact information, only to come to the meeting tonight and find out you've been having meetings and I've not been contacted. I don't know if I'm on a committee or not. I may be, may not be, but I surely haven't been contacted. You know, when a taxpayer who comes to every school board meeting and responds that he wants to be on a committee of this nature when he's been on the committee before, it's still confusing to me, the workings of the district and what you're really looking for. If you're looking for knowledge or you're looking to prove your opinion on something that's already been turned down by hundreds of schools across the country, tried and not implemented, or tried, implemented, and then dropped. So I think it's important that you realize that. I'd like to also say some things about summer school again. Summer school, our children need to be caught up. They are behind. You can present all the virtual stuff you want to on the overhead and tell us how great it is. All over the country, the unanimous opinion is this virtual stuff does not work. It works better than nothing, but it doesn't work as according to butts in the seats, if you will. I mean, you know, it's just the real realization that colleges and universities, you know, when a child flunks freshman courses, they've got to repeat the courses. I've given you example after example of people who went to night school and or summer school and repeated the course that they failed and got credit and went on and achieved the status for college entrance and college degrees after they figured out at the end of their freshman year that they couldn't keep on going in life without putting something in and went back and repeated classes. You don't get it on credit recovery, and you don't get it on virtual schooling. After you fail the course, you're not going to recover that on virtual schooling, not the way it's set up today. And I think you need to realize that. It's the rumor going around that you are going to shut down the schools at the end of the spring or before spring is even over, and not let kids be in until you finish the air conditioning, which will not be done in all the schools until next year. I don't understand how we can prohibit our children in Peoria from going to school any longer than they've already been prohibited. The election is over, people. The election is over, and the 6 Democratic states, for example, that don't have basketball, 44 states had basketball during basketball season this year. 44 states. We are one of the states that did not. California, New York, New Jersey, the Democrat states. The election's over. Let's move on and start doing things for our children academically and athletically and servicing our parents. Thank you.
Okay, that was our only speaker. I did want to make one comment. I did see your name listed as a committee member in the first meeting that I attended. We'll follow up and make sure you were invited on the council.
I don't want to be named as somebody who's been named to a committee that doesn't come because I've not been contacted.
Okay, we will make sure that we follow up and make sure you were invited to that.
Hopefully it won't take 4 months.
Dr. Carrad, did you have a response? Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you. I was actually going to say the same thing that Mr. Knapp, and I'll follow up, Mr. Knapp, but you are on the athletics committee, I believe, and so we'll follow up. If you're not doing the email thing, they may have to call you and maybe use a different venue with you, but he's on a committee.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have item 9, approval of minutes from September 14th, 2020. Is there a motion to approve? Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Klaus, seconded by Vice President Wilson. Any discussion on the minutes from September 14th, 2020? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Costick? Mr. Claus? Dr. Viking?
Aye.
Mr. Walther?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson? Aye. Mrs. Ross?
Mrs. Ross, are you on mute?
Aye. President Shaw?
Aye.
6 ayes, 1 absent. Motion carries.
Thank you. We now have the return to school plan update. Dr. Karat?
Thank you, President Shaw. This will be brief. I've tried to keep the board updated, and I did on Friday, just basically telling you the first 4 days back, starting on the 19th, with the return to school. That implementation went exceptionally well. Students and regarding students and staff, kudos to principals who worked very, very hard, and teachers did a really amazing job, and students were happy to be back. And the nice thing about Peoria Public Schools, as Ms. Clausen showed, along with all of the teachers, we do have options, and you heard from families just being appreciative for that option. Some kids are, residing with grandparents, and and so they're concerned about the health, and so anyway, so that's nice. So for those who, we have a large majority of our families who actually selected the in-person hybrid choice, and I just added some numbers quickly, and just on A day, on the largest A day, we had 4,820 students, and then on the highest B day, we had 4,723 students. and that doesn't include Valeska and Knoxville and our virtual school and those other programs. So close to 10,000 kids are kind of over, let's see, if I give you the exact number, 9,500, a little over 9,500 are back in person wanting that option. So that was really good. We've tested also, and then we have, I will continue to say our implementation plan is solid, and it was, when we talk about change management and being inclusive and collaborative, that was a perfect example of that, with over 100 people involved with that. And they did a beautiful job creating a solid plan for Peoria Public Schools, and that it actually exceeded my expectation. I visited all of the schools on Tuesday and Wednesday, and was just thoroughly pleased in terms of social distancing, students wearing their masks, PPP, classrooms being equipped with whatever they needed. And it was good to see that the plan, sometimes theory and practice don't necessarily align, but those really did. And then the testing piece of, we're so fortunate with the Gilmore Foundation and Reditus Lab and the state of Illinois contacting us and saying, you guys are just always on the forefront. You're always willing to experiment and try different things. We would like you to pilot the antigen. So we have PCR and antigen. And so we've tested over 777 students, for the 4 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And we're anticipating this week about 1,000 kids being tested. So that's going well. That's going very, very well. Let me see. I think I do have some I have those. I can share those with you. But just for tests conducted the week of the 19th through the 22nd, 777, our positivity rate is 0.9%. So, we can continue to, we can kind of figure out our own now. So, yeah, those are just really quick updates regarding back to school for the children and staff, and has gone very, very well. Exceeded my expectations for sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions on the return to school plan from board members? Dr. Ranking?
Yep. For the positivity rate that you just announced, I haven't checked, but I just want to verify that we're still going to report them as we did before. We are? Okay.
It's on the.
It's still on the website?
It's on the
Okay.
metrics page, the positivities at the very bottom now.
On our district website, yeah, okay. The next question I have is, kind of goes off of your announcement from the beginning of the meeting, Dr. Karat, about if we end up having a snow day sometime in this winter. Just to be clear, if that happens, the AB schedule is not changing. So let's say that there's no school on an A day, then the B student, will it mess up the AB schedule if all the students end up being virtual for one day?
So they would, Dr. Wilson, we talked about that. You want to?
They would stay on the same.
Yeah, they would stay on the same.
Just to not mess everything up.
That's what I wanted to make sure, yeah.
Yeah, they would, yep.
It's a good question, we talked about.
We talked a lot about it, and
So so my student is on a Tuesday, Thursday, no matter what, he will still go to school on a Tuesday, Thursday, that won't change? Okay.
correct.
And then my final question is about vaccines for teachers. I know that teachers are in the 1B. I don't know kind of what the district's process is with that. If a teacher gets an appointment that are very limited right now during the school day, is there some way that they're being let out of their job to go get the vaccine? Is there a process for that as part of the return to school plan?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I would say they would work with their supervisors. I would be very receptive in working with them, because what we do is, they know, I know our teachers and staff have been very appreciative. We had a meeting with Monica this morning, and they get 5,000, the health department receives 5,000 vaccines a week, and there are 50,000 people who technically, like the over 65, it's 30,000, and then the 1B, it's about 20,000. So you have, more, a lot, right? So what we do is, when I get the email, quickly, I send it to Thomas, and then they kind of, actually, it goes by very, very quickly, so I get it. If they're able to get an appointment, I would say they should just work with their administrators, and I'm sure they'll be very receptive. I'm meeting with principals tomorrow morning at 7:30, so I'll kind of mention that as well. But definitely, because I know how difficult it is. I mean, in less than 15, 20 minutes, they're all gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sure that administrators and supervisors will work with them. I just know that when I was trying to go through it for my parents, at least, it was like, this is the only time. Like, I don't care if you have anything else going on, this is the time that you have, and I would just want to make sure that we support teachers if they do want to get the vaccine, that we are supporting them, even though during the workday.
We always do. We do our best to make sure they have the information. The important thing is getting an appointment.
Right.
That's the trick.
Yeah.
Other questions?
Thanks for the question.
Oh, okay. Other questions on the return to school plan? Well, thank you. I just want to thank the entire Peoria Public Schools community. For some students, this is the first time they have been in the building since March of last year, and I just welcome them back, and I thank everyone for their work in preparation for them to come back. Moving on to proposed expenditures over $2,500. Any questions for Mr. Willis? Hearing none. Report of requests under the Freedom of Information Act and the status of such requests. Dr. Karat.
I guess I fell asleep for a minute. I need to find it. Sorry about that. Since our board meeting on January 11th, we received 2 new requests. There were also 4 pending requests noted on January 11th. 1 was completed. We have received 5 requests for this calendar year at a total cost of $250. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Karat. We are now ready for the consent agenda. Vice President Wilson.
Yes, thank you, President Shaw. The consent agenda consists of the following items. Item 1, gifts to school district. 2, payment for travel. 3, human resources report. 4, American Institutes for Research Professional Service Agreement. 5, Whittier HVAC project. And 6, varsity tutors service agreement. And that is the entirety of the consent agenda.
Thank you, Vice President Wilson. Are there any items that board members would like pulled for a separate vote? Item number 6, Mr. Klaus. Any other items? Hearing none, is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda with the exception of item 6?
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any other discussion on the consent agenda minus item 6? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Costick? Mr. Claus?
Aye.
Dr. Rankin?
Aye.
Mr. Walter?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mrs. Ross?
Aye.
President Shaw?
Aye.
You have 6 ayes, motion carries.
Thank you. Item number 6, Mr. Klaus.
Can we just get some more clarity on what this is?
Which one is this? Is that the varsity?
Varsity, yes.
Oh, yeah, great. Thank you, Mr. Kay, for asking. This is, and you should have some information in your board packets, but what we're going to do is, this is all part of Peoria Public Schools academic wraparound system of supports. And so Peoria Public Schools has established a multitude of options to support students in person and virtually to improve achievement. The principals and the directors have been working tirelessly with our children who are in need of support. So this is all to address COVID learning loss and also accelerate learning. But one of the things we found is, and even before COVID, we had a very difficult time getting tutors. I mean, school districts just don't, they just cannot get enough tutors to meet the needs, just like we were talking about, the need for vaccines and the amount available. It's pretty much the same thing. So the idea is that tutors will be tutors online. This program, the purchase of varsity tutors service, is being recommended to support additional tutoring support for students in kindergarten through 12th grade, and it will be live. Online tutors will support students as needed and as requested by teachers and even by families. The individualized help is available in over 3,000 subjects for extra support outside of the school day and even during the school day. The platform provides, again, live instruction, scheduling, homework supervision, and progress reports. Tutors, again, are online and they're certified teachers. And this service will add to the current tutoring options provided to students by our certified and non-certified staff, in addition to our retired teachers that are hired to provide, to tutor throughout the district. So if we are asking teachers to assist with before school, after school, our retirees, many of them, because of the pandemic, are sort of reticent at the moment, and so we've seen a decrease in that number. But the idea is, and I really love this idea, and I actually have been pushing it, and I don't know if you've been receiving my emails, my messages to our families, basically saying, if your child is struggling, talk to the principal and let's set up a plan, or even talk to Dr. Bartz so that we can assess what's best suited for that kid. And not everyone will do well with, so it's just an option. It's not for everyone, but it's definitely another option because of the need. The need is great. And this is, again, thinking outside the box, like the SELUS program, trying to be creative. And so it's just another item on our menu of support options. We have certified, non-certified tutors. We'll have varsity tutors. We have Brain Fuse from the library. We have the open campus concept. We have an initiative for rising ninth graders. Coach Booth with Elite have the Game Changer program, which is pretty impressive. Kids come and go to a location. There's tutoring with full service community schools, 21st Century Grant, the learning labs at Manual and Peoria High. And so what we're finding out is we have to build this academic systems of supports and then have conversations with students and families and, of course, teachers and principals, and determine what is the best intervention for that child to help bring this kid up, back up to grade level and above, because the pandemic has impacted our kids significantly. So it's just another support, Mr. K.
And I apologize, that was out of order. I should have entertained a motion first. Do we have a motion to accept item 6? Been moved by Mr. Klaus, Oh, to accept item 6. I need a motion. I should have had a motion before we, yes, before we discussed it, I should have entertained the motion. And, okay, so it's been moved in second. Then we can open it for discussion, but we've done the discussion. I do plan to support it. This is something that I had talked to Dr. Karad, and she was already working on it when I talked to her. So this is just another tool for families that they now have a lot of responsibility that they didn't necessarily have before. This is another tool that will help them.
And additionally, the funds are specific funds that are directed at mitigating and addressing COVID loss. So those dollars are given to us by the state. So you'll be seeing a lot more of that because the need is great, and it's specifically for those types of expenditures.
Thank you, Dr. Crowd. Is there any other discussion on?
I have a question, yep.
Dr. Rankin?
What other services were investigated other than varsity tutors?
There are a couple of other services, and that's not all. We're going to have a couple more. And for us, the in-person is the best for us. But I know they looked at paper, and there's paper, and there is a couple of other companies. But this is just the beginning. It's a small step in terms of all of the work that needs to be done.
Right. I guess my question is, looking at their website, investigating them a little bit, I'm wondering who else we investigated. I know it's CARES money, but thinking about going off of what was talked about last week with staying local and trying to get more diversity in any type of organization that we're working with as a district. I'm just wondering what the process was to pick this specific one, knowing that there's lots out there. I guess the reason, why this one? Why is this one better than all the rest?
I can get some support from the team as well, but this one, it's because, they're well-known, they're readily available, they have the capacity, they have the flexibility, and they're just ready to work with our kids. They have the infrastructure, and there's actually a sense of urgency. If there are any others that are willing to, that are able to get the job done, I mean, we can definitely look into them, but varsity is, they're well-known. They have a good reputation, and they were willing to work with us. They were willing to work within our timeline, and so we looked at, as I said, there are about two, I know paper, and I forgot the other name of the company that we looked at. Yeah, so it's just that, with this type of thing, this is January, it's almost the end of February, and there is a sense of urgency and their reputation and track record.
I guess my only concern is that I want to make sure that we're not just picking something based on one person's opinion or one group, that we are actually doing our due diligence and we're not just kind of putting money into things and we haven't actually vetted places. I understand the urgency. I also know there's lots of places locally, more locally, that could provide similar support. I guess I feel like the board at least hasn't been able to see the vetting process to know the pros and cons of spending this much money. Again, I understand it's the CARES money, but this is still part of the CARES money that the district is paying out. So I guess that's where it's kind of I understand the need for this, but I don't know the pros and cons of this compared to other things.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know anybody locally who has 3,000 courses and who have the capacity to work with thousands of kids. We're talking about,
So is every child in the district going to get this?
It depends on the fit. And so, if the kid is struggling and they're in tier 2, tier 3, there's a possibility that the kid could have 10 hours. So it's all by hours.
So
And
this
parent-
is considered an intervention for tier 2 and tier 3.
I could add. So this is one menu of options. This isn't going to be the only option available if there are other options that come this way. This option was chosen because we need students to receive help right away. For completing assignments, for doing small group work, and we've attempted to use the human resources that we have, but as Dr. Crott mentioned, we have very limited amount. This particular resource is, it can either be one-to-one tutoring or it could be small group, but it's as simple as a family and a student have an email and they're connected with a tutor and that tutor provides support. So it's just-in-time assistance. So it's not an intervention, it's a homework help, it's a, I need help with these things. So it's more of that. I mean, I don't know if tutoring is really the right word, but it is to provide support just as students need it, as opposed to more of a prescribed support, which is our interventions that we have.
Mr. Klaus?
President Shaw.
Oh,
This
one
is
second.
Mr. Walter, I've got a couple.
One second, Mr. Walter. Mr. Klaus was next, and then Mr. Walter.
I understand that our learning is significantly behind, and this is a suggestion to add to the right arsenal of things that we're trying to do. So I completely agree with that. I just don't know that this is on first seeing this, I don't know that I can support this tonight. I've got a few concerns. The first is when you look at their average, if you look on Indeed and look at this company's average payout to the tutors, you're looking at 17 to 18 an hour. We're billing at 35 per hour. I'm looking at a very conservative estimate of 40% of our 175 is going to go straight to the company. I've got a problem with that because 17 to 18 is well below a market rate for a credentialed teacher to tutor one-on-one. I'd like to see that 175, again, if we can keep that local, revamp a campaign because I haven't really seen anything to pick up tutors locally and do some of that. So I think that we can expand that campaign and, especially if we can pay out 35 an hour for tutors, we can get those tutors locally. I've just got a problem with a big chunk of that just going to the company for the service they provide, which I feel like as a district, we can connect tutors and students a lot more efficiently. 3,000 subjects, it comes down to math, science, social studies. We've got teachers that can do that and are more than willing to take that extra load on. So I would just like to see that kept in the district. And in terms of the implementation, 5,000 hours, given the learning loss that we've seen, 5,000 hours is going to go very quickly. When you put that over 13,000 students, that's 20 minutes a student. And so, the one-on-one contact is the most valuable thing in education when you're sitting with a professional, credentialed teacher or tutor. And that's, I foresee that if, given that we know the learning loss is what it is, and given the value that this is with one-on-one tutoring, in 2 months, are we going to see another, a re-up of $5,000? I see this more as a Band-Aid than a long-term solution because this is a very expensive Band-Aid to throw on. And I just think that we can use that 175 a lot better in another avenue. Given that we are starting this discussion now, if we put some more options and ideas on the table, I like this route, and one-on-one tutoring is very, powerful. And I could just as easy, get a high school senior from any of our 3 high schools and put them with a middle school math student, right? So that one-on-one is very important. I just don't, for me, this is not our best option. I see where we're going, and we need this, but for me, this is, I've still got a lot of questions up to support this right now, yeah.
Yeah, and this continues to be a menu of options. Our preference is our certified staff members or non-certified staff members providing support to our students. That's our preference. And we have some buildings where where there is no one that is interested in doing that for all kinds of reasons, and that's certainly their choice. And so, short of finding people to support students in that building, that puts them at a disadvantage. And I would agree with you. I don't know that this is a long time, 5 years down the road solution. I think this is a solution to support our families who need that just-in-time help with their children, in particular middle school and high school, where they're doing assignments that maybe a family doesn't have the hours to spend or the specific time aligned to when their children are doing their assignments. So it's just one of the options to support the students, but we continue to explore them. I don't think that we're done exploring ways to support our children.
Right, we've only just begun, and I see the reports every week from my directors. Students who are struggling and individuals who are receiving tutors, and you cannot have one tutor for 100 kids, or one tutor for, it's not going to be effective. I see the data. That is my job, to see the data. I'm not guessing or making suppositions. When we talk about people coming, I have personally tried to set up tutoring for individuals, families, and, after one or two sessions, locally, it stops. And so, they have the infrastructure, will get the data, they will do the monitoring, and it's just one option. I mean, I don't know of any companies locally, I don't, that could do this work and have the capacity in that portal and that umbrella, that sort of one-stop shop to provide what's needed. And again, as we said, we're continuing to experiment and try different things. And this is not for everyone. It's for those families similar to Acellus. I get a lot of emails from parents whose kids are struggling with algebra, for example, and they need that tutoring. We don't, and so we could get that service can provide that support. Dr. Bott, are you online also?
Yes, I'm here.
So I don't know, would you like to add to the conversation?
Yes. I couldn't hear your last point. Will you just repeat that part?
No, that's okay. Just go ahead based on.
About the one asset of varsity tutors is there are 5,000 subject area, 5,000 different subject areas. They do train their tutors extensively. They have a database system where you receive specific feedback about what the child worked on with the tutor after every session. That's something that I was impressed with, that you could get some instant feedback on what the child worked on with the tutor, and that's can be provided to the school as well as the parent every single time the session takes place.
Thank you, Dr. Bott.
Other questions? Mr. Walden.
Yeah, I still am waiting here.
Mr. Walden?
Yeah, I like the concept. I am concerned all of a sudden we get the urgency issue when all of a sudden now this is thrown at us again. We have to make a decision on it tonight on something from this. And when would these guys be started?
They can start at the end of the week. It's as simple as gathering names of students and families, email addresses from buildings with students that are struggling and need support. And we can provide that information to Varsity Tutor, and they will send out a welcome email within the next day or so. So these students could start receiving support as soon as Friday or Monday at the latest.
And if the board wants to postpone it and provide options for others, I'm open to that. I mean, this is, we don't have to make a decision tonight, but I mean, we have kids who are struggling, and so we would just kick the can down the road for another 2 weeks to come up with, another, if you guys have options or ideas around other options. So, but my job is always to get a pulse of what's happening in the system and get the data. And we have been working for years to get tutors, and we say we have a teacher shortage. A tutor shortage is even worse, and come up with recommendations and provide it to you. And then you guys do what you have to do. And I'm fine.
Other feedback? Dr. Rankin?
Yep. So I'm going to go off what Mr. Walter said about the sense of urgency. Like, I know that this is coming to us now, but this data isn't new, and we knew this was coming. And so I think that, for me at least, I am going to vote against it tonight, just because I feel like I need to have some more information and some more in-depth knowledge of why this specific company, knowing the information that Mr. Kloss provided, it really devalues teachers and devalues educators through the actual cost or the amount that teachers get. And when thinking about other tutoring agencies or tutoring avenues, Mr. Kloss brought up some tonight. Additionally, there are universities all over the country and within Illinois who are looking for places for their student teachers to tutor, knowing that we're in the virtual world. So, and that's free. So I don't know, I just feel like I need, for me personally, to be able to support this, I need more information of why this specific thing, what other things have been evaluated, and kind of going down that avenue of, yes, we need to support our students, but the sense of urgency, I would argue against that, because we knew this was coming and it has been happening. So that's kind of where my thoughts are tonight.
Yeah, in terms of the salary, the $35 an hour, that's their lowest amount. And what we did, we said that if our teachers were willing, and I mean, it's not really devaluing teachers, because we also said if they were willing to work with kids, just for second semester, right? For second semester, we would also allow them to have that price for the $35 an hour for second semester to work with our kids, because for us, the human touch is our first preference. And then as it relates to universities and student teachers, I'll have Dr. Bott talk about that, because we're working with ISU and we're working with Bradley. A lot of them are remote, and they're not allowing their kids, they're not allowing their students to come to the building. And Dr. Bott is over that program. So Dr. B, you want to add to that? And there's just not enough. I mean, Bradley, how many student teachers do we have from Bradley University, Dr. B? Dr. Bott?
Yes, if we could get a few students from Bradley, it would take it's getting them all hired to do virtual tutoring and training them extensively. Those would take some time.
Yeah, we don't have the capacity to do that, and that's the thing, the efficiency. That's what they do. They're a company, and, and then the monitoring and the attendance and the infrastructure and the data and the follow-up and all that stuff. And then, thank you. So yeah, that's not going to work. We tried it for years, over 20 years we've been trying to work and, trying to get a slew of students from Bradley, or ISU or ICC. ICC is completely remote, so, yeah.
Now, I do want to clarify, if we have teachers that are willing to and have the capacity to tutor, they have the same opportunity?
They do. That's our first choice.
Okay, so I view this as a multi-pronged approach.
Yeah.
You have your online, which is 24/7, by the way. Somebody can log on at 3 o'clock in the morning, and someone will answer that call. So that's in the contract, and I verified that this afternoon. So, my preference, of course, would be that, our own people get an opportunity. But again, this company has the capacity, we have the need, and I want to be aggressive about helping our students and helping our families. I want to do something aggressive, and this is something that's instant. They're ready to go by the end of the week, and we don't have to wait. And again, this is not taking opportunities off the table for our own people.
No, I spoke with several building principals last week, and because I was asking, we had a conversation about the numbers that I saw. There are hundreds of kids that are struggling, and no one is able to tutor. No one is able. So the team, we have been talking about it since November, October. We have to provide more options. And if there are strong companies locally, they can be vetted as well. And there will be, I think, enough business for everyone, for individuals who are able to they have the infrastructure and the data that we will need to be considered, for sure. But as we said, the first option was really our teachers, but there's more work than available teachers that are available.
So then I have a question about the contract. Sorry, you go.
Vice President Wilson?
So just to clarify, this isn't, this is like one of the first of many different avenues that we're going to tap into to help those students, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then, are we doing our diligence in identifying local, organizations that offer these services? I know you said there's no problem with looking up these companies and organizations that offer these type of services. Is that currently being done? And if not, could we start that process?
I usually, when people are interested, they will send a prospectus, and they'll send information and say, hey, this is what we have. Not the mom and pop shops, like I can do 1 kid, 2 kids, that sort of thing. And I mean, that's also an option, but we're looking at a large scale. We're looking at, working with hundreds of children. But if there's anyone out there that's interested in saying we can do something, there's, they can, as I said, they can be vetted for sure, yes.
Dr. Rankin?
So I have 2 questions. One, so we're saying that this agreement is for $175,000. Is that pay per use, or is that we write them a $175,000 check and then we get 5,000 hours? Like, if we don't use 5,000 hours, do we not spend all of that money? Like, as we're saying, like, this is the first prong. Okay, but we're spending $175,000 right now. That's $175,000 we couldn't give to a local place if, when we sign this contract, that automatically goes to them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so it's by hours.
So like, if we only use 3 hours, then we only pay for those 3 hours. We don't have to pay for the 5,000 hours.
I need to follow up with John on that, but it's really by hours. So, and we anticipate we could use more hours, so because of the need. But yeah, I'll have to follow up with him. But we said we would, for the first go around, we would, because that was the best deal, to get down to $35 instead of $40 an hour. And then if you have, 10 hours per kid per subject, based on our calculation, we'll need more. So, yeah, I need to follow up with him regarding that, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when you're saying we pay $35 per hour, we're paying that to the company, but from what it sounds like is that the teacher only gets about $17 or $18 of that, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't go into all of that. It's just, we were trying to really negotiate to get the lowest price for the district, and how they deviate behind the scenes, that's.
And then my last question is it for all students in the district or only hybrid students? So is it for Acellus and hybrid students or only hybrid students?
Students who are struggling.
So any students struggling in the district?
Students who are struggling with a focus on, students who are struggling. We're looking at, and they're under the ESSA care category, title category as well. But it's for all Peoria Public Schools. If you're struggling, you're eligible.
Especially when I target the schools that have no tutors. There's nothing happening in those buildings as far as extra support on nights or weekends or evenings. And I think that's another piece to think about is the flexibility. At the high school, we have students that they come home from work and they might be doing their homework at midnight or 1 in the morning. And so I think the flexibility of contacting a live body on a screen to help them with their homework is a value add. It becomes trickier with the human resources that we have available, but those could provide supports during the school day or after before school. That's why the menu of options is helpful, because we have so many varied needs and the families that need different options. So this is an option that's unique that we haven't been able to provide before. So I'm more hopeful that we can stay within the 175,000. I think that we're going to have families that really will appreciate this extra support.
Yeah, it reminds me of our Acellus conversation when there was some reluctance to that, and you saw that presentation tonight. As far as that's concerned, one of the things I also like about it is it provides SAT preparation for our students, CNA preparation, all sorts of preparation, examination preparation for students. So, yeah.
I'm sorry, I have one more question. Knowing that not everyone in the district has always been in this district, does anyone in the administration building, have they ever used varsity tutors? And if so, what experience do they have with it? So people who have not been in Peoria Public Schools, so Dr. Bott I know is new. Dr. Wilson I know hasn't always been here. Dr. Crott, has anyone ever used varsity tutors, and what has their experience been?
Yeah, I have not used it.
Has Dr. Bott at all?
Dr. Bott, have you?
I have not used it for my children, but one of my own children's best friend is the tutor for varsity tutors in Spanish.
Other questions or comments?
No, I just have one comment. I would like two things out of this. I would like us to see if there's anybody else out there that we could use with this. But first of all, I'd like to see basically what you said, President Shaw, was if there were local people and that we could use them first. We could do a hybrid, get as many local people, or if there's a local company or another company that can do this, and if it's not good, then 2 weeks from now, we vote varsity tutors in. But I'm agreeing with two of my board members. I'm just a little uncomfortable for voting this in the way it's set up. And so if it's kicking the can down the road, call me the can kicker. I just feel more comfortable if we did that.
Okay, other feedback?
Can I chime in?
Oh, go ahead. And then Dr. Ike.
I'm sorry, this is Mrs. Rose. I'm the EL director for the district. And I just want to talk about equity with students and giving them the best opportunity like we all strive for every student. And on behalf of the second language learners, Varsity provides tutors that are trained to work with these types of students, and they speak the language of the students. If we look at local people here in Peoria, we're going to be very limited. I have a hard time finding substitutes or teachers that are specialized in French or Spanish that can support these students. And we've been having a lot of incoming students from other countries that are basically at 1.0, which is a very limited proficiency for English. And varsity would fulfill that need because they would be servicing those students in their own language so they're able to assimilate and get that support that they need. Also, if we're looking at student teachers are great that they would like to do this, but they're not trained to be able to provide services. A lot of the Bradley students are being trained to be ESL teachers, but they don't speak the language, which is the main concern that I have. And the main thing that I was excited about this company is to be able to communicate with families and students.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Ike?
Yes, I'm just going to point out, I worked $17, $18 rate administrative for certified teachers. It's actually 26 for when teachers use their in-house, and then $14 for non-certified. It's on the letter form,
Yeah.
sheet that you guys have provided.
They're referring to varsity paying their tutors.
Right, but they also wonder about why teachers
Thank you, thank you. Other feedback on?
I have another question.
Dr. Rankin?
Yep, so as I'm looking and investigating some more, what I'm seeing is that, yes, it's 24/7, but some of that 24/7 support is only text support. So that means if a student at midnight needs some support and there's no immediate tutor online or has been scheduled, it's not actually one-on-one. It is one-on-one, but it's what you would get if you went onto any other website and had text support. Is that correct from what I'm reading and understanding from the support that's 24/7?
No, it's on demand, it's virtual, a live tutor.
So even at 2:00 in the morning, there's a live tutor?
Because they have people that are serving, they are now from our time zone. So there's a broader brushstroke of people across different time zones. So yes, it's live as in streamline.
Other questions or comments? Okay, so it seems we have some people that are not comfortable, and at this point, no one has made a motion to table. So that is Dr. Pratt?
Yeah, what I could do is, we could see what's available, and compare again locally and then bring it back. I'm willing to do that as well. It's sad that we have to do that because to me, we're just, we're being second guessed. We have the data, we see, we know what the need is, and we can always bring others on board. Because this is just a small piece of that academic wraparound systems of support. We have an SEL systems of support, so you have probation, and you have food pantry, and you have counseling, and you have financial, and you have respite. You have 12 different, right? At least 12 different services being wrapped around. So, we're just beginning. This pandemic is teaching us a lot, and it's forcing us to be creative and to think outside the box and to be aggressive for our kids and our families. And the need is great. This varsity is not for everybody, but I know we have a large group of family members who would be appreciative, and the kids would benefit just like the SLS program, the report that we saw tonight. So I'm definitely willing to do that. We can.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Shaw?
Excuse me, Mrs. Ross.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to say that I'm sure there's an evaluation tool within this program where it's not just, giving them, they're not just giving the money and walk away. isn't there an evaluation as you go along? If it's what we need, we will take advantage of it. If it's not what we need, there's an opportunity to regroup and redirect. Is that in the could that be in the contract?
Yeah, Mrs. Ross, after each session, tutoring session, the parent and student rate the tutoring session after every single tutoring session. And then we receive weekly updates for all of the tutoring sessions as far as satisfaction of the tutoring.
So I've also heard, so tomorrow, I was going to have a conversation with principals about additional options, because when I talk to them, I can see it and I can hear it in their voices. We don't have the manpower, we don't have the supports. So I came back to the team and says, hey, let's see what we can do to help them build those structures and those framework for their building so that they can connect their children to whether it's in person, before school, during school, after school, online. And so that was the purpose, because not everybody is willing, as we saw for sellers. So, yeah, so then we won't have that conversation tomorrow, because I don't have anything else to any more resources to say, okay, guess what? We have some additional food on the table. The pot isn't empty. Let's get some excitement and with this additional piece that's added to the menu. So that will just have to be postponed.
Mr. Shaw, I just want to finish what I was going to say. We have a lot of students that need extra help, and I don't know how much longer we can wait for that. If the reason I talked about evaluation, I mean, if we're evaluating it as we go along, then we can see if it's working. But we have a lot of students that need extra help. I don't know how prolonging it would help them much.
Thank you, Mrs. Ross. I would like to implement this tool tonight, but there seems to be some unreadiness, and rather than have it fail, I would rather gather more information so that everyone is comfortable moving forward. Dr. Karat?
Yeah. Coach Booth?
Thank you, Dr. Carr. One of the things I'll just add to the discussion, since we've been back in a hybrid model, I've been getting a lot of requests from families on assisting them with finding alternative off-site locations on their off-campus days. And one of for parents and some of our community partners to utilize on those off-campus days are these type of virtual tutoring options. One of the components of varsity that would be an asset is that their model is both scheduled tutoring sessions, but also what they call instant tutoring sessions. So if we were to partner with an off-site organization such as the Urban League or Carver Center or the Friendship House for our students to attend on those off-campus days, this is a way that while at these off-campus sites, they could also receive tutoring supports and educational supports on those days. And so this is something that as parents are having those challenges with childcare on those off-campus days, that would, in addition to helping them with our community partners have sites for their students, but also that they feel more comfortable that they're getting that academic support as well. So I just wanted to add that's one of the components an agency such as Varsity provides that flexibility. And again, in no way is anyone suggesting that this is better than or replaces in-person supports that could be offered by our own district staff. So I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Yeah, and President Shaw, my principals are texting me. They're like, there are no local tutors. They've looked.
Thank you, Dr. Karat. Thank you, Coach Booth. But I think we're still at a point where we're going to, when is our next meeting, Ms. Ross?
The 8th of February.
8th of February. Would you make your motion to?
We just tabled, yeah.
Okay. We just so that I don't think everyone heard you when you made your motion. And
motion to table.
until the next, okay.
Second to table until February 8th.
Okay, so there's no discussion on the table. I appreciate the discussion tonight, and we'll gather some more information. There is no deliberation agenda. I did want to discuss the email I sent to the board on Friday. As you know, we've been under the pandemic, and the things that I would like to implement, this organization to implement, have been on pause while we deal with the pandemic. So I just want to give you the highlights of that email. The first being one of the things we discussed just now, aggressive academic supports. One of the things that I discussed with Dr. Karat was in-person tutoring, which is her preference, face-to-face, your highest form of communication. As a secondary tool, virtual tutoring. When I talked to her, she was already pursuing that, so I'd like to thank her for just being always looking for the next way to assist our students and families. So we'll keep pursuing that. The school renamings, my preference is that we get one of the school renamings complete during this second term, during second semester. My recommendation is for Thomas Jefferson to be renamed for C.T. Vivian. And we've heard his history on the local and national level, and I would like to pursue that. I'm just one person, one vote, so that's what I'd like to pursue. The other school renamings, I would like to open that up to a community process, collect the names and I'm looking for the justifications for those names and put those through a process, but I would like to get one done for C.T. Vivian. On procurement equity, one of the things that we talked about tonight was the process of choosing a varsity. And one of the things I'd like for us to do as a board is to understand the procurement process better. So I would like to get us an overview of that process. I would like to adopt a procurement policy that the Decatur School District adopted, which it has some equity goals built into the policy. I would like for our policy committee to review that and move towards implementation. I would like to appoint Martha, in fact, I have appointed Martha Ross to represent the board in procurement matters. Compliance reporting, I'd like for us to receive reports on workforce compliance, and I would also like for us to receive reports on what's on the horizon as far as new projects. We are doing much better in change management. Again, I'd like to thank Dr. Karat for getting the feedback from the community, from the teachers, from, just when we take this last example, the balanced calendar, rather than a closed process, she has opened this up and invited people and brought the stakeholders together again. I think we're doing much better on change management. I'd like to continue to improve in change management. In the performance review cycle for Dr. Karat, we've been successfully doing reviews. I would like to do an interim review in February, so I would like to put that together and take care of that. And then our new board member onboarding process. I think we need to rebuild that process. I know Dr. Rain King came on board, and I think we can do a much more structured process of introducing new board members. That being said, that's information that I share with the board. Those are some priorities that I'd like to pursue. And if any board members have any questions, I will entertain them now. Hearing none. Moving on. One second, let me get my agenda back. Okay. Are there any other presentations and suggestions by board members? Seeing none. Reports from board committees.
Yes, President Shaw.
Vice President Wilson.
The policy
Yeah.
committee will, you want to take this one, Walter?
Go ahead, Mr. Wilson.
The policy committee will meet at 3:30 on January 27th.
Thank you. Other committees?
Yeah, the Building and Grounds Committee working extra hard. We're having the calendar part of the Building and Grounds Committee. It's a subcommittee of the group that Dr. Wilson talked about. We'll be having an hour meeting on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, the regular Building and Grounds Committee will be on the 28th at 4 o'clock. That's our regular meeting. We made up for a meeting that we had lost in December earlier in January, so we're doing this one. So we've actually had 2 this month. And we were waiting for our fearless leader, Mr. McWillis, to come back from life-threatening surgery, and he's back and sounds good. So we're going to have our meeting on the 28th at 4 o'clock.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. There are other committees? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So
moved.
It's been moved and seconded, vote by voice. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.